You ever sit there bored, wondering what to do with yourself, and then you think, hey, why don't I just ruin all of my credibility? Me either, but YouTube is home to quite a bit of that, whether it's Tana Mongeau.
He fucked me with a toothbrush!
The door-to-door vitamin salesman, Toddy Westbrook.
Welcome to show business.
If I told you there was a video with nearly 200,000 dislikes on YouTube, what would you think? You might think a new content cop dropped, that another person got called a sex predator. Maybe YouTube Rewind came early this year. Nope, none of that, and it's coming from a channel that analyzes video games. The opening of his video might be one of the most hilariously out-of-touch statements I've ever heard.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
Oh, I'm not gonna say anything. I just wanted to give you a second to soak up the madness.
You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
Now, at first I thought this was a joke or a troll. It's not! The title of the video is Stop Normalizing Nazis, Socially Conscious Game Design. And you know a creator fucked up when they pin their own comment that is this long trying to justify themselves? The channel on the chopping block today is Extra Credits. They have over 2.1 million subscribers and are losing fast. They are known for their videos analyzing game mechanics or history lessons and making them with a nice simple animation. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that they're a pretty uncontroversial channel that talks about some very safe topics, so to hear.
And all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
It's just goddamn hilarious, and it's just the beginning of this car crash of a video. Let's continue.
This is bad on so many levels.
I just want to point out that I used that phrase once in my entire channel's history, and it was when I talked about some pretty serious allegations. This is bad. This is Keemstar bad. Falsely accusing people of being pedophiles bad. This guy's just talking about what team you spawn in on in a video game.
And all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is.
We're only 10 seconds into this shit.
This is bad on so many levels. No one should ever have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis. And we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable.
He does realize that if you play as the bad guys in a video game, you don't actually turn into a bad guy. I mean, we've all played Halo, right? I can 100% say in good faith as someone who has been on the aliens team that I've never once wanted to eradicate humanity. This is the kind of guy who sees a movie and thinks the actors are actually like that. What the hell were they thinking when they made this thing? We've been making videos for 8 years. 8 fucking years. Videos every Tuesday, Saturday, and every other Monday. When will it end? Wait, I think I've thought of a way out.
You're a Nazi.
Genius, now our careers are over. Thank God we did it. See y'all in hell.
Unless the game goes out of its way to tell you specifically that your particular character is not a Nazi, then they're a Nazi. In that multiplayer shooter, when it switched you to the German side, did it go out of its way to tell you that the person you're playing was pressed into service under threat of their life? Yeah, that's a big old nope.
The characters in the game aren't real. They can't be pressed into service because they don't exist. They don't have a real life background. That's why games allow you to customize your characters. They could be whatever you want them to be. This is the most triggering thing I've ever seen.
Oh, and on a similar note, let's please stop forcing people to play as terrorists as well. There you are, playing your modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist.
No, I'm not. I mean, you might be, seeing that you've suicide bombed your own career, but the rest of us, we're all good, bro.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
Ah, God damn it, game.
I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game. We can do better than this. Even if you put aside all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have lost loved ones to terrorists, or who have had generations of their families wiped out by Nazis, no one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game.
They are opting into it when they're choosing to buy the game in the first place. If you are so horrifically offended by World War II, don't buy the World War II video game. Why can't people understand that every piece of entertainment media made isn't tailor-made to what you are and aren't offended by? We're all different people and we're all offended by different things, and that's completely okay. We're talking about an M-rated video game, for fuck's sake. It's for adults. There's gonna be mature themes in it.
No one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game. And by making people do so, we get them to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking of the meaning behind these things. We normalize them.
This guy's high as shit right now. He has to be. This is some Fox News shit.
It's a frightening and disgusting trend in the world of online gaming. Hackers rewriting code to simulate sexual assault.
The graphics are so good, this attack is eerily realistic. Eerily realistic. Eerily realistic.
Eerily realistic.
She is leaning on nothing. There is a floating traffic cone, and they are fully clothed.
This is virtual rape.
This is dumb as hell. Have we lost all common sense in the world? We can't even trust the news.
Those uniforms, those symbols, become things that no longer inherently revolt us.
Did he just show the Iron Cross as a hate symbol? The Iron Cross is Germany's equivalent of the Medal of Honor. If you're gonna show a hate symbol in your video about Nazis, why not show the swastika? I mean, not all Germans were Nazis, right? You see, I know why he didn't show a swastika there. It's because if you show a swastika on YouTube, your video gets demonetized. All I'm saying is if you're gonna give a hot take like this,
those uniforms, those symbols, become things that no longer inherently revolt us.
Don't be a pussy. Actually show a real hate symbol that you think is being normalized. Don't turn something hateful when it's not.
By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them. Neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year.
Can we repeat that one more time for the people in the back?
Neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year.
I already knew that playing video games probably didn't help fight the global crisis, but I guess I thought that nothing I did in my day-to-day life helped fight that battle. In fact, I don't see how anything you do helps fight the global threat either. Mr. Blue Shell in Mario Kart, Mr. Why the PS Vita failed, Mr. Sponsored by goddamn World of Tanks. Bro, you play as the Germans in that game. That's a World War II Tiger tank. You're funding your channel with Nazi money. See what I did there? You can find a problem with anything if you look hard enough. Can we just accept things for what they are meant to be and stop digging for issues where there are none? Now, Mr. Nazi Money here is going to tell us how we could fix these games to fit his ideal world.
So what do? That's easy. Don't make them morally equivalent. Don't make there be no in-game moral difference between your Nazis and your allies, between your terrorists and your counter-terrorist squads. Frame PvP as a training exercise, or simply take one of your non-odious sides and recolor them so that it's red versus blue.
Splatoon. This guy wants Splatoon. Oh, and red versus blue, real mature. You ever think about the colorblind people out there? That's a sensitive issue for them. Logan Paul cried about it once. Don't you think you lose some of the artistic intent, some of the spectacle if you do that? I mean, you're trying to sell copies of video games. Simulating realistic historical battles is cool. It's fun. If you simplify a World War II game down to just red versus blue, people aren't gonna buy your game because it's less interesting. It makes no sense in the context of the environment.
Don't have players randomly spawn in as one or the other. Allow players to choose which side they're on. Now, of course, this has all sorts of in-game problems, such as creating shorter wait times for fascists, but you know what? Those wait times could be artificially extended.
Have we lost our grip with reality? He wants the developers to make the games worse so you don't have to play as the Germans in a World War II game. Look how long he made the line for Allied forces, as if this is a real way to find out who's actually a fascist. I can assure you there is no quicker way to convince somebody of being an actual fascist than to make them wait in a virtual line to play their $60 video game.
If you're saying we need people playing Nazis in our games,
which seems pretty crucial to a World War II setting.
And if you're going to say, but we need it for historical reasons, then your game better actually be historical. You can't really just hide behind the fact you called your desert map El Alamein and say, but it's historical. If that were the case, you need your PvP to at least represent real historical events and be a realistic take on those battles. Once you make both sides balanced, it's also no longer historical. And you can't really say that you need Nazis anymore for historical accuracy. Oh, and once you let players get cool weapons that weren't actually at that particular battleground, it's also no longer historically accurate. And you can't declare that your game will suffer if you don't put players in the jackboots of the Third Reich. And once your map is something carefully designed to have good gameplay by a team in a room in San Francisco or LA, and it's not a faithful reconstruction of the actual places the historical events occurred in, you can no longer say we need to have players take up arms in service of terror or hate.
Oh my god, they aren't actually taking up arms. It's a game. It's pretend. It's fake. I worry about this man's mental health. So you want a game where the sides don't reflect the setting, that's not balanced, that has no fun weapons, no creative liberty, and bad map design. Then I guess you can't even make the game then if it's just not gonna work. I mean, I can't think of a single game that reflects what this guy's saying.
And look, we're not saying we can't have games about World War II or about terrorism. We're not even saying we shouldn't make games where you play as a Nazi or a terrorist. But what we are saying is that the fact that you're playing as a Nazi or a terrorist in a game has to mean something.
No, it doesn't. That's literally the stupidest shit any of us watching have ever heard in our collective lives. You need to stay far away from video games, because clearly you don't know the difference between a fictional piece of media and real life. It worries me that a grown-ass man can even have this opinion. Extra Credits ended up pinning a huge comment trying to justify their video. They go with the classic approach of calling the rest of us stupid for not understanding them. Hey folks, so this one seems to have struck a nerve. We encourage discussion about the topic, and there is some fair criticisms of the video out there. However, I wanted to address some of the comments that seems to have misunderstood some of the aspects of the video. One, we never said that playing as a Nazi turns you into a Nazi. Yeah, maybe you didn't say it word for word, but you basically did. Multiple times.
By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them.
You think we're celebrating terrorists? No, we are celebrating the fact that our team won. Wow, look at this CSGO championship. All these people celebrating the terrorists.
But for some people, it moves them from the territory of revolting to just edgy. It makes scrawling a swastika on something change from unthinkable to just dangerous. It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you should immediately leave. And if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
You are literally saying that video games are a gateway to terrorism. Here's a thought. If you can be convinced into being a terrorist, you probably aren't a very good person to begin with, and playing a video game probably isn't going to make you any better or worse. So yes, you did say that. 2, we never said that games should never let you play as Nazis or terrorists for that matter. Right, but you did say the criteria for allowing them to do that meant wait times should be longer, the matches shouldn't be balanced, and the levels shouldn't be thoughtfully designed. So basically you made it impossible to even have a working game in that setting. So yes, you pretty much did say that too. 3, for those saying that it's just a game and we shouldn't think too hard about it, I feel like perhaps it might be important to introduce ourselves. Hi, we're Extra Credits. Oh, shut up. We know who you are. This is hands down the most pretentious thing that I've ever read. People are telling you that because you're constantly alluding to players' actions in-game having some sort of real-life consequence. Probably the saddest part of this whole thing is that he links a code of conduct that he wrote up himself for his own comment section, so he could justify deleting criticism. Textbook censorship. Who's the Nazi now? This is just a classic case of who smelt it, dealt it. This meme will haunt me for the rest of my life. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.